Hi everybody, this is Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world, and today is Tuesday, January 7th, and this is my Flosstube number 52. We're in a new location. Really, we're just like 5 feet down in my room, but as you may have seen on my Instagram, I finally got new bookshelves and got all my books rearranged and orderly. I did all this on New Year's Day. I bought the bookshelves like 2 weeks before then, but we put them together and then I put everything on them on New Year's Day. So it's a nice way to start the new year. I love the way they look. I got these bookshelves dirt cheap at IKEA. They were on clearance. I think originally they were like 90 something maybe, but I got them for like $22 a piece. Which is just so cheap. So I have 3 shelves. Yeah, like here's one. There's the third. There's the first. And they hold all my books. I have a little room on the last shelf. I have about half a shelf left. So I do have room to grow. But actually, I think I am only going to shrink my collection. Now, I know this is Flosstube, this is a channel about cross stitch, so I will be brief about this book talk, but you know, being that we have this new setting, I know people will be curious. I will put book talk at the end of the video after the stitching and tell you guys about what I've been reading lately. But I did want, because I know people are going to ask, I have not read all of these books. I've read a lot of them, but actually most of these books are ones I want to read and I pick up dirt cheap at thrift stores when I come across them. So I do read a lot. I have read a lot, but I won't be keeping all of these. A lot of these books, once I read them, you know, if it wasn't like a super fave, I don't keep it. I resell or donate. So, but I like to go to the thrift stores around here. I live in a really nice area, an affluent area, and an educated area. So I do find good books at the thrift store for $1 or $2. And so I'll grab it to read in the future. And then if it's not something I absolutely love, I'll get rid of it. So these books very well can shrink, but if they don't, I do have a little room to add a few more to my collection. But I know people are going to ask and be like, oh my God, you have so many books. What's up with that? Have you read them all? No. I've probably read 20 to 30% of them. And no, I did not pay list price or full price for very many of these, but a few. I did for a few. But that doesn't really matter. So how many are here? I have no idea. I did not count. But it's a lot. These shelves are full. So let's get to stitching. First of all, my sister, Jenny, just found my cross stitch Instagram and Flosstube about 2 days ago. So hi Jenny, if you're watching, I love you and I miss you. She messaged me and she's like, my sister's a YouTube star? What? And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of a big deal. Not really, no. So anyway, this is a channel about cross stitch, but my second passion is reading and books. And so at the end of the video, we'll talk about what I've been reading. But first, let's talk about cross stitch. I last filmed a little bit before Christmas, and I had, I've stitched quite a lot since then. I had a few finishes. I've had quite a few finishes. One of them is not with me because it was a gift, and so I have pulled it up here on my tablet to show you guys. This is a free pattern from Plum Street. It's called Coffee Buzz. If you look it up online, you can find it. And I hope this shows up okay for you guys. Sorry if there's some weird glare. But this is my finish that I gifted to my other sister, Jessica. Really just a simple like flat fold finish, and then it fit perfectly into this white frame I had found, I think at Michael's. No, Marshall's. Marshall's or TJ Maxx. So this is Picture This Plus Ren 40 count, which is how I got it to be a smaller piece because it's on 40 count. And the floss is one I dyed myself. It turned out so good. So I'll read it to you guys in case you can't see it from there. It says, "Here lies my sleeping body as lifeless as can be. If thou shouldst bring me coffee, I would spring to life with glee." It came out really cute. I need to stitch it for myself. My friend Amy Gable's Stitcher, she had this idea, which it kind of seems obvious, but I didn't see it. So when she said it, I was like, oh my God. I had already like picked out my colors and everything. And she said she's going to do this on like a gray and make it look like an actual tombstone. Because that's kind of what it's supposed to be. And I was like, duh, like, of course, that's a brilliant idea. So I think if I restitch it for myself, I'm going to steal that idea. I'm going to do it on like a gray fabric with a darker gray. Does that make sense? A gray fabric with a darker gray floss to make it resemble a tombstone. And then what I think I would do is kind of like a stand-up finish. I have this here right now, so I'm just going to show you because this is what I'm going to do for a different project. In the spring 2019 issue of Primitive Needle and Punch Stitcher magazine, Vanna Pfeiffer shows you how to do a tutorial to do a stand-up. So I think I would finish it kind of like that so it looks like a tombstone. So stay tuned for, you know, whenever I get around to stitching that for myself. Like, when is that going to be? Who knows, right? It could be a while. Okay. So then I finished that right before Christmas because it was a Christmas present. I drove home to Kansas City for Christmas. We left on Sunday? I think we left on Sunday before Christmas. Yeah. So in the car, I stitched on Bendy Stitchy a very Yule Hildy. And I finished this on the way home from Kansas City. I did change a couple colors, but I mean, I stayed true to like Michelle's basic color palette, but what I did was I put some DMC Etoile in a few spots because I love it. So I think I made the fire with Etoile, and I did add like, you know, a red and orange and a yellow to that. I think she had it charted as just a kind of yellowy orange or an orangey yellow. So, and I made it sparkle. I don't know if the sparkle will show up. What else did I add? Oh, on the tree, like a lot of this green I made sparkly. I made the topper sparkly as well. And then I made Hildy's skirt sparkly. And then the biggest thing was I made my vampire sparkle. I think his name is Brian. I made him sparkle. I stitched him with DMC Etoile. Again, I don't know if that's going to show for you guys, but he's got a little glimmer. He's got a little sparkle. And that was an homage to our favorite sparkly vampires from Twilight. I couldn't resist. I had to. Anyway, I think this turned out so cute, and I do still need to actually, you know, finish it. But I finished it on the way home after Christmas, and so it was sort of like, well, Christmas is over, so like I'm not in a big hurry to get this finished. I'm going to do a little pillow finish. I dyed this fabric myself. It's a 32 count. And I just, don't ask me how I dye things. I just mix like random colors until it kind of looks cool, and then I soak the thing and I get what I get. So I stitched that in the car on the way there and on the way back. Let me talk to you a little bit about the drive home from Kansas City. So I haven't made that drive from Colorado to Kansas City in a couple of years. I have visited, but we've been flying primarily. And we had decided to drive this time because we had Christmas presents and whatever. It's like an 8.5 to 9 hour drive. It's not that bad, but it's a really boring drive. You just go straight down I-70 through western Kansas, and there's nothing to see. It's flat. It's horrible. Like everybody has told you probably. It sucks. Whatever. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. But Picture This Plus is in Abilene, Kansas, which is about 2.5 hours outside of Kansas City. And it's right off of I-70. So I had told myself, hey, the next time we drive to Kansas City, on the way there or on the way back, I am stopping at Picture This Plus, the Holy Land, right? We drove out on a Sunday. I knew that like they're going to be closed on a Sunday and it's before Christmas, whatever, no big deal. But I'm like, I think on the way back, we were coming back on Saturday after Christmas, and I was like, I think I might try to stop, but I got to convince the boyfriend to stop at the cross stitch store. 2 hours into our journey, our 9-hour journey home. So I didn't get my hopes up too high. And I was like, what if they're not open? Like Christmas is on a Wednesday. So I'm like, ooh, maybe they're not open. I went to their website and it didn't say that they were closed. I should have called, but I didn't because I wasn't sure we were going to stop. Turns out boyfriend was like, yeah, let's stop. It's totally fine. And we timed it to where it was like lunchtime. So he's like, it's fine. We can stop. We pull off I-70. We pull into Abilene. We drive over. And they were closed. They were closed for like 2 weeks. Like they're not open until, they're open now. But, they were closed like December 22nd through like January 5th or something like that. So, like I said, I should have called, whatever. They also should have put it on their Facebook and on their website that they weren't open. I'm just saying. But it was actually really disappointing. I like up until that morning, I wasn't even sure we were going to go. But once he said, yeah, we can stop, then I got really excited. Like I was like super excited. And then to pull up and they're closed, it was like, no. Also, Picture This Plus is in the basement of this building, and on the top is this used bookstore, which also looked awesome, was also closed. So yeah, that was disappointing because I wanted to check out the bookstore and the cross stitch shop. I was there, I was within feet of Picture This Plus. Didn't get to go in. Kind of peeked through the windows, not gonna lie, like a little bit of a creeper. So yeah, that was my story about how I didn't go to Picture This Plus. I'll get there someday. I know I will. I'll have another opportunity. So one other thing I stitched while I was in Kansas City, I mostly stitched Hildy in the car. I don't know if I ever really stitched on her like outside of the car. When I travel, I like to take mill hills because you don't need a hoop or a Q-snap. You just, you hold the perforated paper and everything is like in this tidy little package. So I have all 3 of the Renaissance Santas from Mill Hill. And this was the only one I hadn't finished yet. I had it started, but I hadn't finished it. And I decided I wanted to get these done for the new year and not carry this in, on my whip list. So I stitched this little guy at the house, but I didn't do the beads yet. So he's almost done, but I need to add beads and I need to add his big mustache. And he actually doesn't have that many beads. He really doesn't. So I just need to sit down and do that. While I do that, I also need to add the beads to the other 2 Renaissance Santas that I have completed stitching on but haven't beaded yet. but I'm calling, that's like it's not a finish. I know it's not. But something, I don't even know why I do this, but I decided once I'm done with the stitching on a mill hill, I'm taking them off my whip list and they're finished. And they're not really finished until I add the beads, but I don't know when I'm going to do that. So I don't want them hanging around on my whip list. I know it doesn't make sense. Don't fight me about it. It's off my whip list, but it's not really finished. I will try to beat those 3 in the next little bit, I think, because I just need them, like, that mental weight, like, gone. I need to finish them. But that's still lumped in with my finishes, okay? So my last finish, so this is number 4 or number 3 if you don't want to count the mill hill. This is Cute Patterns by Maria, which you can find on Etsy, and it's called The Long-Awaited Letter. Well, let me give you a little backstory about why I'm stitching this. So I participated in the Harry Potter cross-stitch swap that was arranged by Candy Stitches. And I got an absolutely beautiful package. The swap ended like in November. I think you had to mail by November 10th or 11th or something like that. And I got an amazing package. I sent out a package. And then Candy contacted me and she said, hey, have you heard from the person you sent to? And I said, no, I haven't heard anything from her, but it had only been, a week or something. And she's like, okay, well, the person she was supposed to send to has not gotten their package yet. And I was like, oh no, that's terrible. And she's like, yeah, I'm a little nervous. Like, she hasn't really been in touch. And I was like, okay, well, I feel horrible because I got a generous, amazing package. So I'm going to start stitching a piece to send to the person who didn't get their package. And I picked this piece and I started this back over Thanksgiving. Because at that point it had been like 2 weeks. It was looking like that person wasn't going to get their package. So I started stitching this and I got like a good chunk done. And then Candy messaged me and she said, hey, don't worry. Like, turns out that person did finally get their package. Like, it's all good. And I was like, okay, that's fine, because like, I'm stitching this up and it looks amazing and I'll just keep it for myself. Like, that's fine. And then I put it away. Instead of continuing to work on it for a finish, I put it away. And then it was right before Christmas, Candy reached out again to several of us who had participated in the exchange. And she said, hey guys, like, I have 3 people who never got a package. Yeah. That's some BS, right? 3 people who received a package but did not send one. I don't know who they are. Candy, that's her gig. If she was, I think she should publicly shame these people. That's my thought about it. But she has 3 people who didn't get a package. So she said, this really sucks. And I said, well, I'm going to pick back up that piece that I had started stitching and I'm going to finish it so that I can send it out to one of those people who didn't get a package. And I believe, a few other people volunteered to do the same. So there are some really great people in this community. Obviously, people are extremely generous. Like, ridiculously generous. But apparently there are some people who really kind of suck in this community. I really appreciate all the hard work that Candy put into making that swap as good as she could, and it sucks that some people are letting her down. She worked really hard, and I really appreciate that, Candy, if you're watching. I know I've already talked to you about this, but it sure leaves a bitter taste and kind of turns you off of, you know, participating in things like this. Knowing that someone might not hold up their end of the bargain, you know, it's disappointing. So, I was lucky enough to have a great experience. I did get my package and it was absolutely wonderful. So anyway, here's my finish after that tangent. I'm sure you guys will comment that you feel similarly, that it's like complete and utter crap, that someone would sign up for a swap and agree to do it, get a package, but never send one. That's kind of not cool. I mean, that's theft, right? That's theft. Maybe we should report them. So here's my finish. All that to say, here's my finish. I finished this just Sunday. So I need to fully finish this and get this sent out. I don't want to send it away. I want to keep it. I messaged Candy again and I'm like, did that person still not get their package? Like maybe in the, you know, now that Christmas is over, like maybe their partner finally like pulled through and sent their package and I can keep this. And she's like, no, they still didn't get their package. I was like, fine. I'll send this off. Look how cute it is. Lots of back stitch and lots of blends. But it turned out great. I hand dyed this fabric myself. I think it was the same, actually I'm positive it was the same batch that I dyed Hildy's fabric in, and look how different those came out. This is like a 32 count traditional linen and this is a 28 count Monaco. Anyway, it turned out so good. So the reason I had this pulled is because I'm going to kind of do a finish. I think I'm going to try to do a stand-up finish. Vanna's tutorial, it looks very, very clear and easy to follow. So I think it'll turn out great. So I'm sure I'll have that sent off before my next video. So I will just like take a picture and show you guys next time how that finish turned out. I feel like this has been really rambling. How long have I been talking? I feel like I've been talking forever and I've shown you guys like almost nothing. Okay, those are all my finishes. Now I have the most amazing thing to show you guys. Like seriously, it's so crazy. Like I can't even. It's a good thing we drove to Kansas City and we didn't fly because this came home with me. Yeah, that's what you think it is. That's a Mirabilia. A huge Mirabilia. I measured this frame because I was like, God, that thing is huge. It's 20 by 26 inches. It is huge. I believe this is just 28 count. I don't know why this thing is so big. This is Mirabilia Winter Queen. And I found her at a thrift store in Kansas City. She's beaded. She has whisper. She has cry neck. Let me zoom in. She's stitched absolutely impeccably. We'll do like a slow scroll. The stitches, I don't know how well you can see from here, but they're just perfect. I mean, she's like I'm guessing like a laying tool was used because the stitches are absolutely flawless. So I was at a thrift store in Kansas City looking for books. That's it. Books. And I always look at like the frames in case, you know, something looks good for finishing. And I'm like tootling along, and it's like a small thrift store too. It's called Savers. It's on 95th and Knoll, I think, if anyone's from Kansas City. It's in Leawood, Overland Park area. So I look up and I saw this and I didn't even see it. Like, I mean, I did, but like I looked up and it didn't like register. It was like I was looking at a painting. And then I was like, I stood there for like 2 minutes, like kind of like like that's not, but and I'm like, that is a Mirabilia. What? And I like snatched it up as quick as I could. Now, the glass broke on it. I don't know if that's why it was donated or if, you know, the donations get handled a little roughly. Maybe the glass broke like at the donation processing area. But regardless, the glass is broken. This is a velvet mat. So that kind of might date it just a little bit for you. But the mat is beat up. Like, let me see if I can show you guys. The mat is really beat up. Over here, it's like splashed with something. I don't even know. There's like gunkums on that mat. But miraculously, the stitching and the linen is unblemished. So the glass broke, the mat got beat up, but the stitching somehow survived without any damage. I would have taken her even if there was damage. So I had been looking at the books at Savers and they were kind of pricey, like stupidly pricey for a thrift store. Like I don't pay more than $2 for a book and everything I picked up was like $3.99 and I was like, so I snatched this thing down and she's coming home with me. Period. I don't care what she costs. She is coming home with me. Like the second I saw her, I'm like, mine. But I'm like, oh, I bet $19.99. Like, I bet $19.99. I flip her over. $7.99, y'all. $7.99. I was like, oh yes, yep, definitely. Like I said, I was prepared to pay more. I really was. I would have paid $40. I mean, she was not going to be left there. I know what she's worth. I know what it probably cost to frame her. She was not going to be left there. What I want to do, I think, is get a new mat cut and maybe a glass. And probably just keep, this is a really simple silver frame. I'll probably just keep that, but get her rematted and then put glass on her just because I think the mat is really weird without glass on it. If I had to totally reframe her, I might not have a mat at all and like just do a frame. But because she's already been, you know, stretched, that's what I think I'm going to do is get a new mat cut and a piece of glass and just, you know, freshen her up a little bit. Isn't she beautiful? So I know who stitched this, I think, because on the back, there's a dedication. There's a name and then there's a date of birth and a date of death. And it says, my mom, my best friend. So I was able to find the obituary of this lady. And she only has one daughter. So I think I know who stitched it. I couldn't find anything about the daughter online though. I'm still debating on if I should try to reach out or not. What do you guys think? Like, I don't want to give her up. I'm afraid if I reach out, the person might be like, oh my God, you know, that was in storage. I need it back. I don't know. I could think of all these scenarios. It could also be that the lady was like, I owned it for 15 years and I was just tired of looking at it and I donated it to Savers. Like, and then do I want to like dredge up, make her feel guilty, or I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, I know who stitched this. Now what do I do? I haven't done anything yet. What do you think I should do? So the mom died in 2002. I'm guessing this was stitched sometime maybe after that. Who knows? You know how we are. Sometimes it takes us 10 years to stitch something. This could be from 2003. It could be from 2012. I mean, I'm guessing with this velvet mat, you know, it's probably about 15 years old. It's so pretty. So other funny story is anybody who knows me, like especially locally, my local stitchy friends know that I always joke that I want to find a framed finished Mirabilia at the thrift store, and I've always been joking. Like whenever someone, you know, gets like a really good find, like cross stitch find at the thrift store, I'm like, you know, someday I want to walk in and there's like a Mirabilia like up on the wall. And I say that, I've said that like 30 times, totally not thinking that will ever happen. And then it happened. A fully finished framed Mirabilia up on the wall at the thrift store for $7.99. Other question for you guys. When I get a new mat cut, I don't think I want white. I don't like it. The linen is cream, and then there's this inner mat that's like this periwinkle, and then it's white and then silver frame. How do you guys think, it doesn't necessarily need the double mat, how do you think she would look in just a matte, like kind of a color of the blue of her dress? Like how would she look with just like a darker matte and maybe like just blue? Or if you have any other suggestions. I mean, I know when I take her in to get fixed up, they can like set the mat out for me, and maybe when I see it, I'll be like, ugh. But yeah, if anybody has any thoughts about the mat, let me know, because I don't like this white. The cream and the white, I don't like it. I mean, it's gorgeous, like don't get me wrong, but I think we can do better. Let me know your thoughts about that. I know I'm lucky. I know you guys are all going to be like, oh my God, like how did you find a Mirabilia at the thrift store? Ah. I don't know. Like, I feel like maybe it was fate. Like, why did I go to that thrift store in Kansas City? It was so random. I know I've been rambling so much, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to ramble a little bit more. That day, it was Friday. It was the Friday after Christmas, and I had gone to spend some time with my mom and my sister, and I would have spent the whole day, but it turns out my sister needed to leave to drop off her son, and she had forgotten, so we had like made all these plans, and then like she was coming up and she's like, I'm so sorry, I have to leave in like 3 hours. So we ended up like having to cut our day short, and we didn't do like our whole big day that we were gonna do. And my boyfriend had made other plans with his family, so I found myself with a free afternoon all by myself. And that is how I wandered into this thrift store. I would have never gone otherwise. Like, I would have been shopping with my mom and my sister all day. I never would have stepped foot in that thrift store. So it was just this like series of weirdness that like led to this happening to me. After I realized I had the afternoon free, I debated going to the only cross-stitch store I know of in Kansas City, which isn't really in Kansas City. It's in Blue Springs. It's called CC and Company. And it's a suburb. It's kind of out of Kansas City. And I kept waffling, and I was texting Amy, and I was like, I don't know. I want to go, but I don't want to drive all the way out there and drive all the way back, and I don't know. And I was like, I'm going. And then I was like, no, I'm not. And then I was like, I'm going to go get some coffee at Starbucks. And then I was like, I'm going to go. And then I was like, no, I'm not. So I kept waffling about going. I decided not to go. I didn't feel like driving. It's like 35 minutes. It's not the end of the world, but I just didn't feel up to it. And so I ended up going to the thrift store down the street. So if I had gone to CC and Company, I would not own that Mirabilia right now. And if my sister hadn't gotten pulled away for other plans, I would not own that Mirabilia right now. So it's crazy. It's crazy. And I know I'm lucky. Okay. I don't believe in fate, but it is kismet. Diana. Okay, so whips. Let's get back to cross stitch. Since we last met, I pulled back out Ingleside Imaginarium, Kaluna Brightburn's Catalog for Witches Familiars, which is her 2020 Sal. And here's the border. Of course, on January 1st, she did release the first familiar, which goes right here. I haven't gotten to it yet. I might have it in here. No, I don't. Okay. So anyway, I went back to get the border. The border isn't finished, but I'm gonna finish filling it in as I go. So I wanted to get the top done. So I did accomplish that. And then so all I have left to do are just these little rows, and I'm just probably going to stitch those as I go each month. But the top is done. This is a 40 count Victorian motto linen, and she doesn't name her linens. It was a fabric of the month that my friend Amy Gable Stitcher sent to me. Thank you, Amy. I love it. It's so pretty. She knew I would love it, so she sent it to me. And then I was like, what's gonna look really good on that is this beautiful linen. So I hope I can keep up with this Sal. It is January 7th, and I haven't gotten to the January yet, but actually what I like about this Sal is it's not a ton of stitching. I feel like the stitching is quite light. So I think it's possible I could keep up with it. Okay, so then apparently it snowed. I don't even remember now, but apparently it snowed between my last video and now. And I worked on Snow Queen by Mirabilia. And it did snow on the day we drove home, but I missed, I didn't see it. It had already happened and stopped, and I was really tired, so I didn't get Snow Queen out, but you could argue that I have, one makeup snow day to do on Mirabilia, Snow Queen. So here's where she's at right now. This is 32 count Polywog Princess by Hand Dyed by Stephanie. It's so pretty. I love it. It's showing up, I think, really accurately right now. So I did all these purple ribbons. That's what I've primarily been working on lately. I did convert her hair to red. She is a blonde on the picture. You will notice I made her a redhead. Several of you have asked me for that conversion, and I'm happy to share it. If you want it, just let me know. So all I have left on her is this part of her skirt, basically, which is a lot. It's a lot of stitching, but I'm kind of done. I'm through the confetti, And now I can just like go, you know, with like solid colors mostly, with leaving spaces for beads. So there's a lot of skirt left, but she's going to be finished in 2020. You heard it here first. She's going to be finished in 2020. And you know, since I'm so close on a finish on that Mirabilia, I decided to start another Mirabilia. Why not? No, so this is the newest Mirabilia. I'm on a Facebook group for Colorado needle workers. If you live in Colorado and you want to join the Facebook group, it's called Colorado Needle Workers. And one of our members always posts the newest Mirabilias. Like the second like they're announced, she comes and posts and she's like, look at the new Mirabilias, guys. And we're all like, oh my God. So I do appreciate, her name's Judy, and I appreciate her like always looking out for us. And she posted this one. She's like, here's the newest Mirabilia. And I was like, I am dead on the floor and I need that right now. It's Lilith of Labrador. Yep. Yeah. I'm just obsessed with like her purpley gray skin and her purple hair. This is my first Mirabilia mermaid. But Mirabilia has been like knocking it out of the park. Nora Corbett. Oh, so she got me with Cathedral Woods Goddess, and then she got me with Baker's Wife, and then she got me with this one, Lilith of Labrador. So amazing. So I went to my L&S, which is called a stitching shop. It's in Denver / suburb called Lakewood. But if you Google like stitching shop Denver, you'll find it. And so I had told her, yeah, I need like set it aside for me. I want everything. Beads, floss, pattern. But not the fabric, because I don't ever stitch Mirabilias on the called for fabrics, because I think they always call for like really boring fabrics. And I like to stitch Mirabilias on fun fabrics. So, of course I had to start her like as soon as I got her. The fabric I picked out, I'm trying to find, it's in here somewhere. It's a crossed wing collection, and it's a 28 count, and it's called Deep Sea. And it's so pretty. So pretty. Here's my fabric. Ah! Right? That is gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. All right, and here's what, I think this was 2 days of stitching. This is her torso. Here's her arm. And here's her torso, if you're curious. So we're like right here. I just started right in the middle. Of course I never want to put these down once I start them, because they're gorgeous and amazing. But you know, I had things I needed to do, so I had to put her down. But there's where we got. And I want to get back to her. While I was in a stitching shop to pick her up, they had a finished and framed model of Cathedral Woods Goddess. So someone local had finished that. Oh my God, you guys. Like, we all know that the pictures do not do justice, especially to Mirabilia's. I know she's going to be gorgeous. That's why I bought her. And I've got a good chunk of her started. But seeing her in person was like jaw on the floor. Absolutely stunning. If any of you are like waffling about buying Cathedral Woods Goddess, like go buy her. Holy crap. Tons of Kreinik, so she's super sparkly. She was so beautiful. So beautiful. And then I was like, I want to go home and stitch on Cathedral Woods Goddess, but I also want to start Lilith. Like, I don't know what to do. So I didn't pull her out yet, but oh my gosh, I really kind of want to. She's so pretty. Spare bead pack fell out there. Okay, so next, what did I work on after that? That was, I worked on her like New Year's Eve, like the 30th and 31st maybe. And then this one caught me out of nowhere. Linen and Threads mystery sampler for 2020. Now they're in Australia or New Zealand, one of those. I don't know if it says on here. So they're ahead of us. So on New Year's Eve, December 31st, they're like, hey, here's part 1 of our 2020 sal. And I was like, texting Amy. I was like, I think I need to do this. And she's like, yeah, I'm doing it. I was like, fine, I gotta do it. So this was a surprise start out of nowhere. This is a free sal. They do one every year. And every year I'm like, oh, pretty. But no, not for me. I'm not going to do it. I've never done one. I've never fallen victim. But this one got me because it's Quaker and it got me. And I thought, you know what? If I keep up with this, I will have a huge Quaker sampler at the end of the year. So they released part 1. I was at work. I downloaded it. And I left work going, I'm going home to pull fabric. I think I have something that'll work. I think I have floss that'll work. And I started it and I finished part 1. So I am stitching this on 40 count Mallow by Zweigart. And I am stitching it with DMC color variations in color 40-40. Ooh. That's getting super washed out. It's a blue, it's a royal blue to dark blue to purple. I bought a bunch of skeins of that. And it provides enough variegation that it's interesting. It provides enough variegation that I think this really plain linen works really well. So this is Mallow. It's like an oatmeal kind of flax kind of linen. It's more simple than what I usually go for. I actually bought it to dye it, like to tea and coffee dye it. But I was like, I think it'll work on its own. And I think I was right. Here's part 1. I posted this on Instagram. It's my most liked photo ever. So you guys agree. You like it too. So there's part 1. And it's going to have places where you can put initials of friends and family. People who are meaningful to you. So I put an L for Lincoln. And then I put my first and middle initials here. I'm sure I'll add my boyfriend and my sisters, maybe my parents. Oh, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. And now we wait till February 1st for part 2. That's right, you guys. I am caught up on a sal. Yes, I am. I signed up for many, many sals. And this is the only one I'm caught up on. And I really want to stay caught up on it because then, like I said, it's huge. It's 244 by 244 stitches. So I will have a nice, big, gorgeous Quaker at the end of the year if I keep up with it. And I think it's like a manageable, like, chunk of stitching. So yeah, that was a total impulse. Like, I wanted to say purchase, but I didn't buy it. But total impulse. Like, saw it, needed it. There we are. Okay. We're almost done. So then Amy and I finally started our sampler, our stitch along that we're doing. It's a friendship stitch along. It is R&R Reproductions. It's a super old chart that I found at my crafty thrift store. It's called Designer's Motif Sampler. And it looks like this. It's really old. It's a hand-drawn chart. And I found this and I was like, that's cute. And it was, you know, like $2 or $3. And I bought it. And I got home and I was looking at it and I got it out and started to look at it. And there were two in here. There was a whole second, not just the chart, like there was the cover and the button. It comes with a button. So there were two charts in this package. So I was like, hey, Amy, do you maybe want to stitch this? And she's like, yes, absolutely, yes. So I sent it to her and we're buddy stitching this. I did just a very minimal research and could not find anything about this online. The date is 1997 on the chart, so it's an old one. I couldn't find anybody who had stitched it or anything, but I do believe there have to be people out there who stitched it. It's just that, you know, it's 20 years old, so maybe they're just, you know, it's either hanging up on a wall forgotten or it's in storage or something. So if anybody out there has stitched this, let me know and send me pictures. I want to see. I really do. Anyway, I think it's a chart that's just not going to be easy for people to find. So Amy and I would love anyone who has this chart and wants to join in. Maybe you have this in your old whip basket. You started it 18 years ago and it's been sitting there. I don't know. If anybody wants to join in, please join us. We would love for you to join us. But we do realize that you're probably not going to be able to find this chart. So now allegedly, I didn't realize this, but allegedly R&R Reproductions, which is Dying to Stitch in Virginia Beach, they will frequently, like, they don't make their catalog like unattainable for people. Like if you want one of their old charts, like they'll just print it for you, or I'm not sure how it works, or they'll go find it in storage or something, but like generally if you want one of their charts, they will get it for you. And I believe Amy had been talking with one of them over the summer and had said, hey, I got like this old chart of yours. I don't remember which one she was talking to. And she was like, haha, good luck, because it's hand drawn and it's hard to read. But she had said, like, yeah, if anybody wants it, like, just have them contact us. We can totally like get that for them. But what I'm hearing now is that people have called this shop and have been told, no, we can't, that's discontinued, I think was the word. So, I've heard that from 2 people, so maybe don't call Dying to Stitch and harass them about this chart, because apparently they don't have it anymore. So, but again, if anybody can track it down, someone has got this in their stash. I know it. I know it in my bones. Some of you old cross-stitch hoarders have this chart. So if anybody has it and wants to stitch it with us, join us. Now, because it is so hard to find, tongue-in-cheek, I don't even know how we came up with it, honestly. But we're calling it the You Can't Sit With Us Sal, which is a Mean Girls reference. It's all in good fun. We are not mean girls. And honestly, we would love all of you to stitch this chart with us. But I don't think that's going to happen. And so it's a tongue-in-cheek, like, you can't sit with us because you don't have the chart. So you can't sit with us, Sal. So my birthday is on the 29th of January. Yes, that's very soon. And Amy's is on the 30th of June or July. I think it's June. And so we decided that every month this year on the 29th and 30th, we will work on our sampler. So that by the end of the year, we might actually have some progress. But this was my new year start. So I stitched on this on January 1st and January 2nd. I will get it back out on January 29th and 30th. This is on 36 count Zweigart in platinum. And I'm stitching it with the called for DMCs for now. There are some silks in this chart that I think I'll just pull threads when I get to it. This is how far I got in 2 days. There's a lot of specialty stitches in this chart. So I've got rice stitches and eyelet stitches here in this row. Everything else is just a full cross for now, but there's more specialty stitches to come. I'm really loving how it's turning out. You might notice I left myself a whole 1-inch margin there. Yeah. I don't know why I did that. I liked this linen for it and I wanted to make it work, so I am. I don't mind a small margin. I really don't. I'll finish this myself. I'll lace it. I'll have enough room. Oh, I love it. So January 29th, I'll be getting that back out. If anybody has this chart, please join in, please. Also, while we're talking about it, if anybody has any ideas about this grass down here, that's a lot of grass. That is a lot of grass. I'm thinking I want to do some kind of specialty stitch there, not because it will be faster, but just because I don't want to stitch 9 million cross stitches of green. So I've been kind of trying to think about like what kind of specialty stitch will look good as grass. Maybe even a satin stitch, which would probably maybe be a little faster. So if anybody has any ideas about specialty stitches for grass, let me know. Okay, nope, I lied. I have 2 more whips. Okay, so my next whip is an Etsy seller called White Raven Patterns, and this pattern is called Coffin. And this will not take very long. As you can see, it's minimal stitching, really. I just thought it was super cool. It's going to be a gift for somebody, but they won't know it's for them. I'm using the called for DMC. This is 36 count Fiberlicious Velvet Sky, which I got in a stitchy box in like 2018 maybe. It's a blurple. It's like a navy, but with like a purpley tone. And that's how far I am in 2 nights of stitching. I'll probably be working on this tonight. Try to get this finished up. It's a gift for a smalls exchange. That'll probably be done. No, it will. It will definitely be done, I think, before my next video. So I will show you guys next time how I finished it. Okay, last whip. For real, last whip. So I belong to a Facebook group that's run by Melanie Watkins, who is the Soulful Stitcher. Hi, Melanie, if you're watching. I know Melanie watches me, but I don't know if she's watched this whole video or whatever. So, anyway, she started a new group called What Whip, and it is all focused on working on your whips and finishing. So it's a super like low-key group though. It's minimal rules. Like the only rule is that in 2020 you have to put at least 20 stitches on every whip that you own. I wanted to do that anyway, so that was fine. I have a lot of whips. I'm at 90 right now. Oh, I know. I have a lot, but I wanted to touch all of them anyway, so I will. And then the only other rule is that you have to finish 3 things in 2020. I'm going to do that easily because I want to finish things. That's my goal. So you have to finish 3 things and you have to fully finish at least 1. Again, no big deal. So that's it. Those simple rules. But she's going to throw in like monthly challenges just to keep things fun. And for January, she gave us a challenge to take one of your whips that you've left out in the cold, meaning you've abandoned it or you haven't worked on it in forever. And she said, get that whip and put 20 stitches in it every day in January. If you do that, you'll have 600 stitches in this whip. Well, no, you'll have 620 stitches in your whip at the end of the month. And I was like, yeah, I know exactly what I need to do here. My Haid, my Heaven and Earth Designs Mini Milagros La Luna. I haven't worked on it in over a year. I've definitely left her out in the cold. And not really for a good reason, because she's actually quite pleasurable to stitch on, but I just, you know, it's just such an, it's so overwhelming, like, to get your Haid out and work on it. And so I really like this challenge because she's like 20 stitches a day. Like, I mean, if you want to do more than that, then do more than that, but at least 20 stitches a day, that's very manageable. So I got her out. Now I am behind. Today is January 7th. I have some makeup stitches to do on her. But I think right now I'm due to have 140 stitches on her. And I think I'm at like 70 right now. So I will easily catch up. I'm hoping to do way more than 600 stitches on her through the month. But I finally got her out and got back to work on her. This is all I have done for now, but that's okay. This is a 28 count Irish linen. So it's a nice loose weave, and I'm doing 1/1 full cross on this linen, and she's gonna be itty bitty. I need to cut this linen down. It's like, she's only gonna be like 5 by 7 probably. I have all this linen. I need to cut it off and reuse it for something else. I might know exactly what I want to use that for. So yeah, I can't wait to show you guys how far I can get on her. I'm hoping I'll be motivated to even like continue working on her and like, you know, after maybe doing like 100 days of Haid or something like that, where I can really get some progress in on her. So, that is all of my finishes and my whips. And at this point I should go to haul, but this video is already so long and I still want to talk about books because I did promise that. So I'm going to skip haul and maybe we'll show haul next time, because here's the thing. I am doing Stitch from Stash in 2020 and I've set myself a budget. That's a Facebook group if you don't know, where you basically just commit to like spend less on cross stitching stuff, but you can earn credit to buy more stuff by finishing things. And so like, well, for example, like this owl that I finished is this size is worth about $8. I'm going to give myself a $10 finish because it's full coverage. If it wasn't full coverage, it would be like an $8 finish. So you set your budget, and I set mine at $25 a month. But now like I have a $10 finish, so I really have a $35 budget for the month. But I've already spent all that. But that's okay. I'm good. I'm not in the red. But basically it's a way to kind of hold yourself accountable, but also like motivate you towards finishes, because if you do want to go buy something, you're like, oh, I need to finish something. And it's only been 7 days, but I'm feeling very motivated by it. Right now I want to save up for market. I know I'm going to want some things, so I'm like, oh, I got to get some finishes. I got to go. But I did spend my budget for the month already because I went to the craft box, my crafty thrift store. So anyway, you should be seeing less haul from me in the next few months. And so I don't really feel bad that I'm going to save this haul for next video, because I shouldn't really have much at all accumulated after now. I have a ton here though, because this was from like December before I was doing Stitch from Stash. So I do have a lot of haul, but I'll show you next time, because I shouldn't have more after that. Okay, so haul next time, just because this thing is long, okay? I'm sorry, I know some of you love haul and you're screaming at me right now going, no! I'm sorry, guys. This video is just going to be too long and I still have a lot of books to talk about. So if you don't want to hear about book talk, head on out. If you want to hear about books, stay tuned. Thanks for stopping by. If you don't care about books, it's fine. You didn't hurt my feelings. All right, so what I read since last time. I've got a lot of these were ebooks / physical books I borrowed from the library that I had to return. So I pulled them up on my tablet to show you, even if I did read them as a physical book. So the first book I've read since last time we talked was book 2 of The Chronicles of the One by Nora Roberts. And book 2 is called Blood and Bone. It looks like that. Book 1 is called Year 1. And I did talk about that, I think, in the last video. I loved this book. So Year 1 was, I talked about this already, so I won't go into too much detail. Year 1 was a really hard book to read. A lot of people died. There was a lot of despair and hopelessness, and it was hard to read. It ended on a really high note, and that really redeemed it for me. I almost stopped reading the book because it was getting so ugly. And then things finally got better, and I was like, okay. And it ended really good. So Nora Roberts has written this trilogy. The third book just came out last month, and I need to get it. Basically, it is like a post-apocalyptic world in a way. What's happened is some kind of dark evil force has been awakened and unleashed a plague on mankind, and like 90% of the world's population has died. And the ones who have survived, it's also at the same time, it's awoken like this dormant magic in the world. So people who are coming have this magical ability that they had no idea they had. It's been like awoken. And sometimes it's as simple as like, I can read minds, or I can communicate telepathically, or I can fly now. It's just like this random magic that's coming out in people. And some people are even like turning into full on like magical creatures. Like some people are now elves or pixies, or like just random these magical creatures that we all kind of know from folklore. And other people are still like normal-ish humans, or present as humans, but have these magical abilities. So book 1 is about the plague sweeping through, killing everybody, and then people like fighting for their lives. So it's kind of like The Walking Dead. Like it's like, trying to survive in this world where everyone's been wiped out. With the rise of magic in people, some people have turned dark. They have like a dark magic, or they were drawn to the dark side. So there's these like bands of like evil people, not people, they're creatures, but they're like these gangs of evil creatures, killing and looting, and it's chaos. So it was a hard book to read because nobody was safe. People were dying. People, just when you start to take a breather, like the group is attacked, it's tough. It's kind of like why I stopped watching The Walking Dead, because I loved that show for quite some time, but at some point I was like, dude, this sucks. Like, these people are fighting for their lives every single day. Like, I'm tired for them. So, that's how book 1 was kind of going for me. And then finally, like, there's a break. A child is born. Her name is Fallon Swift. And she is called the One. She's like the chosen one. She's humanity's last hope. She's the only one who can beat the darkness. She's the only one who can like beat it back and save humanity. So she is born at the end of book 1, and there's a prophecy about her, and basically, like, you know, everything's going to be okay for 13 years. Like, for 13 years, she gets to live with her family and be okay. But when she turns 13, this, like, magical guru mentor guy is coming to get her to train her to save the world. So that's why it ended on a high note for me, because I was like, okay, at least for 13 years, like, everything's okay. No one's going to die. Now, people are still dying out in the world, but, like, no one in Fallon's family is going to die. So book 2 is about her going with her trainer to learn how to be a badass, basically. So Fallon Swift in book 2, it's like when the Karate Kid it's like when Daniel went to get trained, right? Like, she's learning how to fight, she's learning sword fight and magic and how to control her magic, and it's just her coming into her power and awakening, and it's really cool. To me, it was very fascinating. And then book 2 concludes with Fallon basically, like, going to meet her destiny. Like, she's trained for 2 years and she's ready. Like, she's ready to build her army to fight the darkness. And so it kind of ends on, like, we got our army together, like, here we go. There's a lot more to it than that, but I really loved it. I loved this book, and I gave it 5 stars out of 5, and I need to read the 3rd, although that one's going to be hard because people are going to die again. So, all right, so that was the first thing I read, and then the next book I read was... Oh, let me backtrack for just 1 second. Of Blood and Bone is a Nora Roberts book. I talked before in my videos about how I had never paid attention to Nora Roberts over all these years because I thought she just wrote, like, contemporary romance, and that's not a genre I'm interested in. And then somebody online had said, like, you should read her sister's trilogy. It's about some witches. And I was like, well, that sounds kind of cool. And I did read that trilogy, and it's really good. And then I discovered this other side of Nora Roberts that I didn't know about. So I love her books that I've read so far that feature magic and witches and things like that. I have not read any of her, like, contemporary romance stuff, and I don't know if I would like that or not. But I just want to say that I kind of wrote Nora Roberts off as, like, just a populist, like, for the masses writer, and I mean, she is incredibly popular and incredibly prolific, but it's because she writes really well. So I'm sorry, Nora Roberts, that I didn't take you so seriously. But I'm now, like, reading all the Nora Roberts. And one of you, I'm not going to say your name because I don't know if this is a secret, but one of you reached out to me and was like, hey, so actually, I'm friends with Nora Roberts. And I was like, what? And this person also was written into, had a character named after her in Of Blood and Bone. And so she's like, oh, you're almost to the part where I'm in the book and I die. I was like, okay, I'll keep my eye out. And then she's like, no, you'll know. She's like, when you get to it, you'll know. And sure as shit, I was like, that's you. That is you. I'm reading about you right now. Holy crap. This is crazy. And then I was like, I'm like 2 degrees of separation from Nora Roberts now. This is amazing. Also, I would tell everybody that I meet, I know Nora Roberts, and she's written me into a book and killed me in a book. That's me. That's what I would lead with everybody I meet in the future. If that person wants to tell their story, they can. I will not tell. I won't reveal their name in case there's any Nora Roberts, like, stalkers out there who will then go bother this person. Okay, so next I read Serpent and Dove, which is a young adult fantasy novel. It's by Shelby Mahurin. It's a gorgeous cover. Really pretty, right? And this was like a more mature young adult, I have to say. Like, I read a lot of young adult fantasy. That's a whole nother, I could go on and on about why that is. But, you know, young adult fantasy and just young adult will generally like kind of gloss over, you know, sexy times in the books and things like that. Like, this book has a sex scene. I was like, oh, okay. And I don't care. Like, I read some trashy fiction that has like explicit sex scenes in it. I'm not a prude, but I was just surprised because you just don't see that in young adult. So yeah, there's a sexy time scene in here. Anyway, this is a book about a witch named Lou. And it's kind of, it feels like it's maybe like a medieval, like, or maybe a little no, maybe not medieval, maybe like Victorian kind of era. I don't know. Anyway, it's set in the past, but in a different world too. And witches are, you know, hunted and killed and burned and whatever, right? Like, but they're really not bad, but people don't know that, so whatever. They hunt them down and try to exterminate them. And there's an order of knights that are part of like a religious sect who are trained to go like hunt and kill these witches. And this witch, Lou, is in hiding, and she's not even practicing witch. She is, you learn as the story unfolds, like you kind of learn her backstory about why she ran away and why she's in hiding. She's absolutely terrified of magic because she thinks if she uses her magic, like her coven will be able to find her. So she is living as like a thief on the streets, and she's not practicing at all. In this world, when you use magic, it leaves a smell behind. And so that's another reason that she doesn't use magic. So anyway, these knights are, you know, out to hunt down the witches. Somehow, through like a series of unfortunate events, she ends up married to one of the knights, which sounds crazy, I know, but in the way it's like, the way it happens in the book, you're like, okay, sure, it's not like that crazy. So anyway, she ends up married to a knight. It's an enemies to lovers story. It's a slow burn. It's about 2/3 of the book before they really like acknowledge their feelings for each other. But basically he doesn't know she's a witch, and she doesn't want to tell him because he might kill her. But they fall in love, and then craziness ensues. He does eventually find out that she's a witch, and there's some stuff that happens, and it kind of ends without a resolution because there's another book. So it ends, and a lot of people online have complained about that they're like, no, what happens now? When does the second book come out? So it kind of ends, like, it leaves you hanging. But I will definitely pick up the second book. I really enjoyed this story. Lou, the main character, the witch, is super sassy and super audacious and super fun to read because you don't know what she's gonna do. She's unpredictable and she's crazy, but she has like a huge heart of gold. So you're just like constantly like, what is she gonna do now? And what is she gonna say? And you're like, oh my God, did she really say that? Like, holy, okay. So she's very fun. And then the guy she falls in love with, Reed, he's like straight lace, like super like straight man that she's playing off of, and she kind of like gets him to like let loose a little bit. So it's kind of hard to explain without like spoilers. It's good. I liked it a lot. It is, it gets mixed reviews. Some people are not liking it, and I think it's maybe because it's a slow burn romance, and a lot of people want that romance to like hit right away. But I really enjoyed it, and I actually like found myself really coming to care for the characters a lot. The book did get better as it went. The first little bit, I liked it. I enjoyed it. The writing, I wasn't quite connecting with it in some way, but by the end I was. I do think she kind of fell into her rhythm. I think this is her first book also, so I'm sure she'll get better and better, but I did like it. So next I read book 2 of the Scythe series. This is also young adult. This is by Neil Shusterman. The first book is called Scythe, and the second book is called Thunderhead. And the first book I've already talked about was so great. I really enjoyed it. And this book was no different. This series, the third book did just come out, I think, in November, so the trilogy is concluded. People have raved and gushed about this series. It is, so I didn't expect to be disappointed, and I wasn't. It's very good. This is set in a future society where humanity has figured out how to prevent dying and aging. And so the world is at risk of overpopulation because nobody dies anymore. And if you do die, like accidentally, they bring you back. So like if something happens and you're in a terrible accident, like they take you to a rejuvenation center and like you're good as new in like a day or two. So nobody dies, and the world is at risk to overgrow. So an order is formed. They're called scythes, and they glean the population. So they go and choose people to be permanently killed. They're the only ones who can permanently kill. Like there's no murder in this world, but if there was, they would just bring you back. But if a scythe kills you, you stay dead. And so that is their form of population control. That's like a really simplistic way of saying it. There's a lot more to it, and I've already talked about it in more depth when I talked about scythe. It's a kind of far-fetched premise, but it's done really well to where you can believe it in the setting of this book. So anyway, they're the scythes like are supposed to be held to like a really strict moral code. They're never supposed to choose people for gleaning based on like prejudice or resentment or anger. Like they're supposed to be like cold and calculated and not let emotions get involved and like pick their people for gleaning. They're given a lot of like autonomy to glean how they want, but they're not supposed to do it with malicious intent or any kind of like negative. Some of them, you know, are like one of them I think gleans people by looking at old world statistics and saying, you know, in the past, teenagers who engaged in high risk activities tended to die young because of a drunk driving. So he would go to a high school and like pick a teenage boy who acts crazy or does high risk activity and like glean that kid. So he would, you know, try to like mimic what the old world would have been like. Another scythe would glean people based on like her intuition that they were like apathetic about life or had like had enough out of life. So she'd like learn to recognize signs of people who were just done, and then she would glean them. So like, anyway, that's kind of how it works. Oh, I feel like I'm rambling. But there's this new order of scythe, and they're like, killing is fun, and we're gonna just do it because we like to. And they're like going and doing like massacres and stuff. They have to meet like a quota of people that they kill, and they have to stay under a certain amount, but they enjoy killing. Like they just go and like mass kill. So there's this like warring faction of scythes that are like, that sure doesn't seem right. So book 1 is about like all of that coming to a head, and then book 2 continues the story. And book 2 ends on a crazy cliffhanger. And I'm not really going to go into any more than that because it'll just be spoilers for you guys if you do want to check it out. So I do encourage you to check it out. It's really good. It's a really good series. I actually have the third book from the library, and I will be reading that shortly, so I'll talk about that in my next video. I rambled a lot, so I'm going to try to like move a little faster. I just have a couple more books to talk about. The next book I read was a surprise for me. This is called A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kimmerer. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It's young adult. I just expected this to just be like a kind of read for me. Like, I didn't expect much. I didn't expect to hate it, but I didn't expect to love it. I thought it'd be kind of a middle road read, and I actually really, really liked it. The main character, her name is Harper, and she has cerebral palsy. So she does have some physical limitations, which made her really an interesting character. She's also just like beyond that, just she's like smart, like really sharp, but also really caring, big-hearted, and really interesting to read. So Harper is from our world. She is pulled into this magical world where a man has been cursed by a witch to become a beast, and the only way he can break this curse is if he can get a girl to fall in love with him, basically. It's a little different than like our classic Disney Beauty and the Beast story, in that he starts each he has season. They call it a season. And he's been through like 200 or 300 seasons, which is basically like he like is doomed to relive the same few weeks over and over and over. So he starts each one as like a man, but by the end of the season, he's become the beast. But he has this like window where he's supposed to get this girl to fall in love with him. He hasn't managed to break the curse yet. Along comes Harper. Is she going to break the curse? It was very interesting. It was really well written. I really cared about the characters. There's like this surprise love triangle that kind of comes in that I did not see coming. It was very real. I don't know. It was really relatable. Like, Harper isn't sure if she loves him. She's not sure if she can break the curse. She's not sure if she might have feelings for this other guy. Like, I found that very refreshing, that she was like, look, dude, I don't know. I think I have feelings for you, but like, I don't know if this is love. So, it's really interesting. And it was a different enough spin on Beauty and the Beast that you didn't know what was going to happen either. Like, you weren't like sure that she was going to fall in love and break the curse. Like, I don't want to spoil it, but you know, it's not what you think. And the sequel just came out today. Book 2 out today. So I need to get that. I put a hold on at the library. So that wasn't like a 5-star read for me. I think I gave it 4 though. I really liked it. It was good. What did I read after that? Oh, I read book 1 of The Witcher, which if you read the prequels, as you should, is really like the 3rd book of The Witcher, but it is technically book 1. It's called Blood of Elves, and the Netflix show came out on December 20th, and people are losing their minds about that show. The show, to my understanding, follows basically like through book 1, which is book 3. I've only watched 1 episode of the show. I'm savoring it. I'm like watching 1 episode every couple days, like drawing it out. It's only 8 episodes, and then it's going to be a long time before season 2, and I'm just kind of taking my sweet time with it. But I watched episode 1 and I loved it. So, book 3 or book 1 of The Witcher, I was really excited to get to this book because the 2 prequels are more like short stories of The Witcher. And so I was excited to finally get into like a novel. instead of just these little short stories. So that was really nice about this book. But it's also just it still gives you a lot more backstory. But basically, the Witcher Geralt was born a man, but has been put through a lot of spells and mutations through potions to become this kind of superhuman creature called a Witcher. He is mostly feared and reviled by humanity, but he goes around and he kills monsters for humans. And so, sometimes they need a bitch. So they tolerate him. But then they're like, ew, like, you're this, like, monster dude. Get out of here. So he doesn't, like, stay in one place for long. He's constantly on the move, looking for monsters to kill to earn some money. He's living in poverty. But there is, like, Witcher home base that he can always go home to, where there's a few other Witchers. So it's kind of like they go out wandering to make their money, but then they'll maybe come back for the winter and, like, winter at Witcher headquarters and then head back out, right? So there's a girl who's, like, a chosen one. Her name is Ciri. She's the little blonde girl in this show. And her and Geralt are fated to do something. We don't know what yet, but they are fated. She tells Geralt, "You are my destiny." So he needs to protect her and train her and watch over her. And this book is about him taking her to Witcher headquarters. It has a name. I just can't remember it right now. He takes her there and starts training her how to fight, how to do magic and cast spells. And but people are looking for her. Like, people know that she's a prophecy child, and some people want her dead because she will inherit a kingdom eventually. So people don't know for sure if she's alive or if she's dead. People don't know where she's hiding. People are looking everywhere trying to find this girl. They know that she's somehow connected to Geralt, so they're also attacking him. He has to send her away to keep her safe. And so this book is about him training her and then sending her away, where she will be trained by a witch named Yennefer, who Geralt has a little romance with. That's a whole other story. But anyway, it was a really good book. I really enjoyed this book. It was a quick read. These books are very quick reads. Even though it looks like a pretty good sized book, it's like it's 400 pages. It reads fast though. And I am on to book 4/book 2. Probably tonight. I'm probably going to start it now because I have to give it back to the library. So, all right. So I read that, and then I read, finally, I've heard nothing but amazing things about this series. I knew I was going to love it, but I just hadn't sat down and read it yet. It's V.E. Schwab Darker Shade of Magic series. It's been highly recommended by many people, particularly Andrea, who is Stitchy Bookworm on Instagram and Flosstube. She loves this series, so I knew I needed to read it. So I finally got it from the library. I loved it. I finished it last night. 5-star read for me. Absolutely loved this book. Cannot wait to read more. Already requested the second one from the library and went ahead and bought the third one because it was on sale at Barnes & Noble. So I have book 3. Still need to I will get book 1 and 2 in hardcover eventually. But for now, I just requested it from the library. So this is, how to describe this? I'm sorry, I'm trying to go a little fast because I'm tired and I'm thirsty. This is a multi-layer universe. So there are several worlds that layer on top of each other essentially. And there are people who are magically inclined who can create doors and travel between the worlds. In the past, everybody could travel between the worlds, but magic got corrupted and freaked out in one of the worlds. They had to seal that world off and leave it to like rot. Then they had to close all the doors between the worlds. So all of these worlds have a point in London that they can be entered into, and so they all have, every world features its own place called London. So there's one that's like our London, and I think that's called Grey London. And then there's a white London and a red London and a black London, and these are all of the worlds feature a city called London, basically, is what I'm trying to say, not eloquently. But they've all been sealed off from each other, but there are a few magical people called Antari who can travel between the worlds to pass messages back and forth. And so one of them is called Kel. He is from Red London, and this is primarily his story. He hooks up with a girl named Lila in Grey London. She doesn't have magical abilities, and that's a world that doesn't have magic. And they go on an adventure, and it's really hard to say more than that without really giving too much away, but it was so good. This book was good, guys. I knew it was going to be. I knew I was going to love it, but I really, really, really liked it. So this book, highly recommend, and I cannot wait to continue the series. Okay. I've blabbered on enough. I'm gonna end it here. This is enough. I'm reading another book right now, but I'll talk about it next time. I haven't finished it yet. I had some book haul I wanted to show you, but again, this is too long, so maybe next time. I think I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm tired. I feel like I'm losing my voice and I'm thirsty and I have to pee. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.